What up? What up? What up, Tag Nation? It is us, Tag, and I know it has been a little
Mm.
bit since the three of us have been together in this
Too
capacity.
long.
We've been beefing. All right.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
full fledged beefs going on,
Little
just
beef.
legit. But we'll talk way more about the beefs and more after our beautiful intro.
T.A.G.
That's tag shit.
Free fall as I die through the kaleidoscope in my mind. No rope up to climb. Gotta remind myself that I'm fine. Mama, I don't really want.
If y'all want to know what the beefs and beef adjacent things was over, it was about this right here.
Yeah.
For those who are in the know, WrestleMania weekend was this past weekend, and it was a lot of wrestling. Like a lot of wrestling programming and all of the above. And this was also special because we did something different for our tag predictions. We've actually had a one-on-one situation where, Mr. Oh, you know what? Let me rewind. I forgot. It's been a while. It's been a while. I, myself, prestigious Scooter Ray. You got Lip Dizzle, aka the Prince of Predictions. Then you got Jaeger Bombastic, so fantastic, the heartthrob of IWC, aka Mr. His story is not over. You know?
Damn right.
But now to fast forward it back, Jaeger won the inaugural Tag Rumble, and he had a one-on-one shot against me at Mania, and more on how that went. While Dizzle and our Forbidden Door had their one-on-one shot to see who was going to get the next title shot at whether it's AEW Dynasty or WrestleMania Backlash. But we'll get all into that. So before we get into everything individual, how did y'all feel about WrestleMania weekend as a whole?
Mm.
And that's
NXT.
including NXT and both nights of Mania. And the Hall of Fame, if you want to throw that in too.
I mean, only one thing really stood out for me for the Hall of Fame. That was Mr. Heyman's speech.
Yeah, it's hard to deny that one. Very hard.
Yeah. Aside from that, I didn't get to catch all of Stand and Deliver, so I didn't get to see. But you know what? Overall, like Stand and Deliver included, even though I missed about half of that, it was. I mean, I didn't see Braun Breaker, right?
Yeah, Braun Breaker
They
and Baron
dropped.
Corbin. No, they retained, but we'll get to
They
it.
retained. Okay. We'll get into that. I just wanted to know if we'll get into it in a minute. But overall, solid weekend. Had some unpredictabilities. A certain cash in that could have waited, but apparently a certain injured person's been lying through his teeth as he does. I'm gonna stop the hate now before I get going. Lip, how about you? How'd you feel about it?
I mean, everything was fairly solid for the most part. One thing I will say is that it did embody what is now, which I'm happy to say is the going trend for WWE, is that professional wrestling is back.
It's Mike.
Basically, on every show, the majority of their matches, which I would damn near say all the matches, got enough time, whereas previous manias you would get the piss break matches, which there were definitely some piss break matches, but nothing felt as though it was meant to be a piss break match. And I appreciate that. Even if I didn't like some of the matches, I do appreciate that they at least invested the time for each of those matches. But yeah, that's my general consensus across the board, is that it actually felt the way that previous manias of old have felt. And I'm glad that they embodied the meaning of what professional wrestling is. And I thought it was funny because Rock kept saying it throughout the past weeks. Professional wrestling is cool. Professional wrestling is cool. But he meant that when he said it. So yeah, that's my overall thought. And of course, we'll get into everything when we individually handle these matches.
Overall, a solid B plus, maybe even an A minus.
Oh, you going with an actual rating? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, because I got so used to doing it with the Ninjas. Shout out to Boss and Aranya. But if I had to give it a rating overall, like considering with NXT and everything, it would be a solid B plus, A minus.
Yeah.
Granted, there might be some things I might say that could contradict some of it, but if I'm just looking at everything and group it all together and kind of piggyback what you were saying too, Dizzle, about, you know, pro wrestling being back and the excitement, the feel, definitely B plus, A minus. Well, while we talking, let's go ahead and get it off. We kicked it off. Well, you had SmackDown Friday night, and the highlight of SmackDown Friday night is Bronson Reed is the Andre the Giant Battle Royal winner.
Mm-hmm.
He won the Battle Royal. He eliminated Otis, if I remember correctly, was the last person, and now he's the latest member to have his name on the trophy. And then you had the Hall of Fame ceremony, which the headliner was Paul Heyman. They let him go first, and why? You know, not to shit on the other inductees, but Paul Heyman went out there and literally tore the house down. Literally. Other inductees, you have the legendary Japanese women's wrestler Bull Nakano. You had the U.S. Express, Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda.
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P. Bray Wyatt. You had Rock's grandmother, Leah Maivia. You had Muhammad Ali, which I'm actually shocked it took this long for Muhammad Ali to be inducted.
Wow, you know, that's crazy because that whole time I thought that he was already inducted.
I thought so too. And then you had Thunderbolt Patterson. And I think that was all the inductees. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. U.S. Express, Paul Heyman, Leah Maivia, Thunderbolt Patterson. Yeah, I think that's all of them. Even though I do feel like I'm forgetting somebody. But yes, so those were your 2024 Hall of Fame class. And once again, like I said, great show. And now, to tack that on with SmackDown, that was literally 5 hours of content there. Because you had 2 hours of SmackDown and then you had 3 hours of Hall of Fame. And it was like, yeah, we in this. We in this. Now, Saturday morning, NXT Stand and Deliver. Now, the one thing that they've been promoting with this year's Mania and this year's NXT, that it is the biggest, because with this being WrestleMania 40, the initials, the Roman numeral initials is XL, so of course extra large. So they made everything seem like it's the biggest ever. So that's why we kept hearing that over and over and over all weekend, that this is the biggest this is the biggest that. And it was like, that's cool, but sheesh.
Calm that shit down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the first actual match we get of the first wrestling we get of all weekend, pre-show match, Shawn Spears, Joe Gacy. This was brought on by the fact that Joe Gacy kind of just started recently playing mind games with Spears, and it was like, okay, let's have a match of Stand and Deliver. And it was like, okay, cool. Like, it was like, yeah, cool. So, and boom, here we go. Surprisingly, Joe Gacy wins. that was the surprise that I had, because granted, Sean Spears did lose to oh my god, who did Sean Spears lose to? Dijak. Those Sean Spears lost to Dijak because that was something involved later. But I'm actually surprised that they had him suffer this loss to Gacy, especially with Ridge Holland hitting Gacy in the back with a chair before the match started.
Yeah.
And it was even more like, well, what was the point of Joe Gacy doing what he did if Spears was still going to lose? Because it seemed like they're going to go ahead and align Gacy and Spears together to some degree. But whatever. It was an okay match. This could have been on NXT TV. This didn't have to be necessarily Stand and Deliver, if I'm truly being honest.
And now it's starting to register as far as like the purpose of Sean Spears being there.
Mm-hmm.
Now I still think that he's going to get a push in NXT, but I also think that one of his primary focuses would be to help usher in the next generation.
I think so too. I can see that.
And I'm here for it. I think he's very good at what, because I mean him and Tyler Breeze. I keep forgetting Tyler Breeze's real name, but those two have wrestling school.
They still call him Tyler Breeze.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have a wrestling school, so this kind of just feeds into what he's actually doing on the other side. So,
shameless plug, Flatbacks Academy, if I remember the name of it.
I'm here for it.
But yeah, I can definitely see, as long as Spears being there, he can be kind of like a, coach slash, like you said, helping usher in some of the new talent that's there. Because I mean, I'm pretty sure with all the new talent, the average age is what, 21, 22?
Yeah, I mean, I think they range now between 21, 22, and like 26 at the very outside of somebody that's already been there. But as far as the new guys,
I think Melo is like 26 at the most. So
because he got in, I think, around like 22 when he started.
But yeah, so Gacy gets the dub over Sean Spears, and we will see where that takes us. Now, the opening of Stand and Deliver for the NXT Championships, you got the Wolf Dogs, Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin, versus Axiom and Nathan Frazier. And this match seemed funny to me because if you're looking at the sheer size of Breaker and Corbin, it's like, do we expect Axiom and Frazier to have a chance?
The short answer is no. You don't expect it. But we were all bamboozled by our own internal booking, thinking that, hey, Braun Breaker signed to SmackDown. There is absolutely no way that he's going to just retain and then stay there, even though he signed to SmackDown.
The only person who picked this correctly was Jugs. Jugs picked it correctly because he was the only one that went for the Wolf Dogs.
And you know what? Just sidebar. Shout out to Jugs and him being on a fucking tear over the past week. I hate it, but I can't be mad at smart predicting.
No, you cannot be. He went in with a plan and executed. But other than that, like Dizzle said, we were a victim of our own smart booking and thinking we knew the game, no pun intended. And the Wolf Dogs retained. Simple and plain. They got the dub. And once again, I'm ready to see what they're going to do with Braun Breaker on the main roster. because that man is just a beast, to say. I mean, at one point there was a time where he hit the rope so hard he shifted the ring. He shifted the whole ring because he hit the ropes just that hard. And it was like, nah, fam. So I wonder how they're going to book him. Because, I mean, he already had, 2 squash matches on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering to see how he's going to be booked when he's officially there full time and able to run free.
I think the smart thing would be them having a slow burn with him, to be perfectly honest. I don't think they need to push him the way that NXT pushed him, based on the fact of Cody just being champ and them having a lot of other people who needs to be in the world title picture.
Mm-hmm.
So
I can see that. But yeah, Wolf Dogs retain. And then the next match, the quote unquote real meat madness. Yeah, I took a shot. The real meat madness we get for the North American Championship, the champ Obafemi versus T.A.G versus Josh Briggs in a triple threat. And in the words of the great Big E, big meaty men slapping meat. Slapping meat. This match right here was a sleeper. Because with those 3 men, with the shortest guy being 6'6", and the smallest guy being, I think they said 260, those 3 men put on the show. They put on the show. Oba being 6'8", and T.A.G 6'7", I think they said 270. And I think Briggs was like 6'6", 260, 265. They went out there and put on the show. And it was something to see.
You know, I had seen a little bit of Obafemi.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on the fence as far as being on the hype train because I didn't believe the hype.
Okay.
You know, it seemed like, okay, they're gonna put the title on him. All right, cool. Because when he initially won the title, I was just like, it something didn't feel right.
So
go ahead.
He had me day one when he was in the tournament. Because of his size and because of him, it felt like, okay, who is necessarily going to beat him? And I can appreciate he cashing in on Dragon Lee instead of cashing in on Ilya. Because then it would have been like, okay, you're sitting there going to cash in on the champ that's not about to lose the belt. So I appreciate that they made him go the route of cash in on Dragon Lee because it was like surprising, of course, because Dragon Lee had just beat Lexus King, and it was like, here come Oba was like, you got another opponent, big dog. And it was game over. And the crowd took to him quickly, which surprised me.
That surprised me too.
And he's been dominant. He's not that bad on the mic. You can still tell he's new at it. Every now and then he kind of has his Batista-like fits. You know what I'm saying? So, because, you know, we all know Batista was like the king of drip. And, you know, Oba be coming out there dressing like Batista sometimes. And I'm here for it.
I will give him that because I think it took seeing him on the mic as well, but then also seeing how the crowd was behind him. And there's that organic NXT crowd back in that you get, and it makes you believe the hype when it happens. I still chose against him.
Yeah.
Because more so because
right.
Because of T.A.G. Because I'm like, there's no way they're just gonna keep, you know, screwing over T.A.G like this. But, you know,
I will say this: I would have been on y'all side if Oba was champion a little bit longer. Considering Oba
maybe
had
another pay-per-view longer.
Yes. If
Okay.
if this was the next pay-per-view, I would have been probably on the outside. If this match would have happened, whatever the next pay-per-view was, and he was still champion, then I would 100% would have been on y'all side with Dijak. 100%.
Mm.
I can even appreciate the way the match ended with Dijak hitting Feast Your Eyes on Briggs, and right when the 3 count, you just see Oba's hands choking Dijak, and he was like, "Didn't I tell you, old man? This is." It was like, "Oh shit!" And it just pure destruction. And 1, 2, 3, Oba retains, and he keeps telling us this is his kingdom. And you know he's gonna show everybody. He's gonna show us better than tell us.
Yeah, I mean, can't deny that, man. And I'm not going to.
Not at this point. Not at this point.
No.
Our next match of the night, by the way of a 6 women's tag match, we had the team of Fallon Henley, Thea Hale, and Kalani Jordan versus Izzy Dame, JC Jane, and Kiana James. You know, I dubbed them the Ains gang since their names.
Ains gang, yeah.
But
Ain gang.
This match was exactly what I thought it was gonna be. This was exactly what I thought it was gonna be. It even played out the way I thought it was.
You ain't got to be nice, Scoot.
No. I'm saying like this could have been on NXT TV. I can see
predictable.
It was very predictable. I can see why they put it on the main show because, in all honesty, this match would have made sense if it was Thea Hale versus JC Jane, and Kalani and Fallon was in Thea's corner, and Kiana, Izzy, and Rachel. Is it Rachel? No, Jasmine was in JC's corner. But for them to make it a 6-woman tag, it felt like a payday. It felt like, hey, let's get as much people involved as possible. But this really should have been a one-on-one between Thea and JC because this was where the beef stemmed from.
Yeah.
And then even to then, after watching NXT TV for weeks, the fact that JC just randomly switched up on Thea like that out the blue was like, what's happening? Like, you took Thea under the wing, you somewhat joined Chase U, you helped Chase U get out of financial debt. Now it's like, oh, you guys are a bunch of losers, and I don't want to be associated with y'all.
Be toxic.
Basically, you know, and it was like, all right, I guess that's cool, but we here.
Yeah.
Team Thea got the dub. I mean, no need to really go more into it unless y'all got something y'all want to add.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Oh, I had to check the tape, man. I did go with Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin.
Oh, did you?
But aside from that,
okay.
no, we straight.
You did go. Yes, matter of fact, you did go with Corbin, and you did. Next match of the night, NXT Women's Championship. Champ Lyra Valkyria defends against Roxanne Perez. Roxanne has done like many other women in NXT and has turned to the dark side. And not only has she turned to the dark side, but in her words, she won't back what she never truly lost. And she got tired.
It paid off.
Right? She got tired of other women having the belt that she technically lost in a ladder match, but never got a chance to truly defend. And she came in on a mission, you know what I'm saying? Roxanne came in on a mission, and she had to show Lyra what's up. She had to put hands and feet on Lyra. And ultimately walked out as champ. So now she's your 2-time women's champion. And this match wasn't bad. Like I normally say when we do reviews, this felt like a title change. This felt like the belt was going to change hands. Like it would have shocked me if Lyra would have walked out as champ.
Same.
Personally.
Yeah. They put on a good show to where for like 1 or 2 times I was thinking, oh damn, Lyra might win this. Mm-hmm. But overall, like the amount of story work they put into Roxanne Perez and everything else going into it, it just felt like it was coming.
And then too, I didn't like the aspect of them doing the whole
Heel
Tatum
turn.
Paxley coming out again,
Oh,
because
that part.
like, yeah, it was like the whole Tatum Paxley thing. It was like, I understand you and Lyra supposed to be besties or whatever, and you've been whatever, and it was like there was no need for that to happen in this match, but they did it. Okay, cool. like cool. You know, the whole, oh no, I accidentally caused interference. Oh no, you know.
I mean, she didn't even do anything really to like crucify her on the match either. Just like, oh, I'm gonna unhook you, and then she failed at unhooking her, and then got smacked, and then yeah, did nothing.
It did nothing in the end. Nothing
It was
at
a
all.
whole bunch of nothing.
In the end. Dizzle, you got words.
It was expected. I mean, I hate that Lyra was put in this position. I mean, because you kind of expect more from somebody that takes the title off somebody like Becky Lynch.
Yes, I can agree with that.
Yeah,
And it just didn't have this, like, to me it would have made more sense had this been Tiffany Stratton all the way through.
Mm.
You know, and then get into the whole thing where now you're at Stand and Deliver and you have Roxanne get her belt back and then have Tiffany Stratton. I mean, even at this point, Tiffany Stratton could have done the same thing as Braun Breaker and been NXT Women's Champ and been on SmackDown this entire time. But yeah, I think just Lara was in an unfortunate position. And it's for her, to me, it's a very extended transitional champ period.
It was.
So
it was. I wonder in the end was the goal to put the belt on Cora Jade, but she got hurt again.
I would have actually preferred that, to be perfectly honest. I think it would have made sense because you could have easily taken Cora Jade with her heel turn and then slotted her to take the belt in whatever nefarious way you could have imagined off of Becky Lynch, and then it would have been apropos for Roxanne to come back and then take the title off of Cora Jade.
Yeah,
maybe that was the plan.
You can still incorporate Cora Jade whenever she gets healthy. She's like in a good insert spot right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we'll see come Tuesday what's going to be the landscape of things now, because also too in the process we did see that Julia is signed with NXT, so we'll see where she gets slotted in place and how long it'll be before she gets that belt up off of her. Well, I don't know, because also too they did announce, Ava did announce that there's going to be a North American Women's Champion. So Julia could be the first of that, or she can get that belt up off Roxanne. We shall see.
Which, leave it to NXT to always be the ones that's going to usher in something that the women need,
right?
Versus what WWE does. Now, granted, I'm pretty sure Trips would love it, but right at this point, I mean, now since Mania is done, he's been in cleanup mode and put it into perspective. So there's no way that he could have genuinely and made it make sense introduce a new title, especially for the women at this point. So yeah, at least let this be the prototype to see what they do on the main roster.
I think so. All right, our co-main event of the night, we got the champ Ilya Dragunov defending against Tony D'Angelo of the D'Angelo family. And once again, people, if y'all ever listen to any of my quick tags or anything like that, this did not feel like Ilya was losing. Not one time was I watching this match expecting Tony D to win.
Nah.
Not one time.
I do appreciate the small face turn with turning down the Nugs,
Brass nuts,
but yeah. But even with that turn, you're not like this whole Sopranos wannabe thing going on and like doubling down on it going into this. Could have given you the impression that he was gonna, get some kind of a one up here, maybe get a little bit of a story with his championship. But I'm glad they kind of killed that now.
And like you said, Jaeger, they doubled, tripled down on it too. Like they
Committing
let it be,
random ass crimes in the streets.
like they let it be known that Tony D'Angelo is supposed to be this mob boss
On
and
boss.
things of nature. And yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see in the end who they're gonna get to get the belt up off of Ilya, because we're in that point now to where I'm not saying Ilya is running out of challengers, but there's going to be some circle backs type situation.
Absolutely.
So,
Probably.
because I mean, he already defeated Mello, Trick, Corbin, Tony D, and they've been like the main four, main roster wise. I mean, not main roster, main event scene in NXT wise. So it's like, unless you about to build up somebody else, which I don't know who at this point.
And that is part of the problem because, and now granted, I haven't been watching NXT religiously like I used to.
I can tell you any questions you got, I can be able to answer.
I mean, it just for the simple fact that I don't, just like you said, I don't know who could be the next because I don't see them really building up anybody. Now they're doing perfectly fine with the North American Championship title picture. Yes. But as far as building that next star, which is why I think that Braun, Mello, and surprisingly Ilya, because I feel like he just kind of was inserted at that point. Mm-hmm. But Braun and Mello had been the only two that had been in that realm outside. Technically, they were that had been, one shots at a certain point, because I think by this time you should already have a handful of people, Gacy being one, either one or the other out of Josh Briggs and Jensen. Dijak should be slotted in there somewhere. But they just haven't built these guys up. Hell, even Wesley, but Wesley unfortunately has been hurt. I feel like he would have been the right person to be in there easily as the underdog babyface. And now Trick could be that person, but I still don't know if he can carry that torch yet. Does he have the backing? Absolutely. But when it comes to him being that leader, could he do it above the hype? Yeah, that's the question that I have. But yeah, that's pretty much my stance on it. But hey, anything can happen between now and the next few months.
Yeah, because I mean, there could always be a random Raw or SmackDown talent that could come back to NXT and just boom, let me get that belt up off you, big dog.
That is true. That is true. I mean, because they have been religiously doing that with
they have
anybody that's on the main roster. So I mean, they're still there.
Ooh. I mean, if you want to dig up old rivalries, there is a gentleman who just dropped a belt,
and not only that, he never got his get back on him either.
You think
Ilya was the one who defeated the undefeated Gunther for the UK Championship, and Gunther technically never got his get back on Ilya. So,
okay, well then now we have to ask the question, because I know that we're now kind of segueing into this. Would it be considered as a downgrade for Gunther based on what he's just done with the Intercontinental Championship?
I think so. Personally, I think so.
You could see it that way, or you could see it as Gunther just came off a 666-day reign where whatever he does, he's going to kind of be a little untouchable reputation-wise, in the same way that Becky Lynch didn't lose anything when she dropped her belt, her NXT belt. Like, you can't, you can just promote this for that story reason, and people are not going to be like, oh, well, this is a kick down for him.
Yeah.
But at
Depends
the
on
same
if you're
time, too,
already a fan of Gunther or not.
but at the same time too, and Dizzle, fix your face before I say it. Just fix your face.
Oh, here we go.
I don't want Gunther to be in the Charlotte category to where every time we see Gunther, he has to have some type of title or be in some type of picture. That's the only issue I would have with Gunther is that we just came off of, like you just said, 666 days. Still shocked by that. That he just came off as ICM. So I don't want Gunther to always be associated in some title picture, whether it's World or Intercontinental or whatever.
Yeah,
you know, we could let him cook without being a champ.
I honestly would agree with you on that. Mainly because at this point in the game, because there are so many people that they have on the rosters they can pull from, and I know Trips is known to utilize anybody who's choosing to step up. I think it's beneficial for them to not go so heavy on Gunther, as far as putting titles on him. So I would agree, and maybe, just maybe, him going down to NXT and doing that would be beneficial. But I honestly believe that it would be treading a very, very thin line, because they would have to do it absolutely flawlessly if they were to do that.
But then the problem that's going to occur, who's going to be Gunther in NXT?
And that's the problem.
Who's going to be
the problem?
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. Like I said, maybe Tuesday. I'm pretty sure tonight with Raw will provide some clearer pictures, and I'm pretty sure Tuesday will start to provide some clearer pictures on everything too. And what was touted as the biggest main event in NXT history, which I really wish they did not put so much pressure on this match. You had your main event of the night. Best friends, now bitter enemies. Trick Williams, a.k.a. Trick Willie, versus him, Carmelo Hayes. Now, of course, this match came about due to some jealousy from Carmelo, that Trick was kind of not being the sidekick anymore, and Trick was being his own man, and Trick was starting to, quote-unquote, feel himself, and Melo didn't like that. So for months, they played the Who Attacked Trick in the parking lot. Well, Vengeance Day, it was revealed it was Melo, and here we are. This match, it had all the hype going into it. They had vignettes done by Gargano, done by Tommaso Ciampa, done by Randy Orton, done by CM Punk. They had all of the hype going into this match. Personally speaking, did it deliver for me? I'm in the middle.
This is a classic case of basically trying to live up to the hype.
Yes.
And this is why I said what I said about Trick being put in, that leader position. Because it's one of those situations where if you get the rocket put to your back and you have to run with everything, are you able to perform when the bright lights are on?
Yes.
I believe it's possible, but I just don't know if he is actually there yet. Even Melo at this point still struggles with that. He can go, but he has to have the right partner. I think Braun is a good partner. In I think their first match, it was absolutely okay. Ilya, I believe it was their second.
It was their second. Yeah.
And I think that, and the problem with this is that it had all the makings of what would have been a fantastic match, being that they have spent so much time together. You would think that they would be able to put together a match, but we know a lot of people who've spent a lot of time together who did not put together a fantastic match, Jimmy and Jey Uso. But it's
we'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But it's just it's sometimes certain things just don't match up. Now I think that Melo is not the perfect partner as far as dance partner for Trick, because of the fact that he spent so much time with Melo and watching Melo perform under the bright light. So it's almost like going to get somebody that you've watched and admired and not knowing if you can actually amount to what they can produce.
And then not only that too, and to even piggyback off of what you're saying, if you're a long time watcher and supporter of NXT, we know how legendary it was for Tommaso to betray Johnny Gargano.
Absolutely.
And we know how legendary that match was when Johnny G came back, because once again, DIY was built as the tag team of tag teams. And, you know, the show was ending, the graphic was up there, and then Tommaso just beat the shit out of Johnny. And it was like, wait! Air raid crashed off the stage and everything, and Johnny was gone for like a while. And when he came back, you knew their match was going to be. This didn't have that time to cook.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, the moment they was doing the whole who attacked Trick, you had to been a fool not to know that it wasn't Melo.
Oh, absolutely.
Then they slotted Lexis King in there to kind of play red herring that maybe Lexis King did it and all of this, and it was like, you have to be a fool to not know it wasn't Melo. And it had a decent build going into it, but I think if they would have pulled the trigger on everything last year with the turn and everything, and then had it built up for January, February, and March, that Trick and Melo were on a collision course, I think it would have been a better situation, personally speaking.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I stand where I stand on it. I'm just ready to see what Trick does next.
Me too. Because he had the Wells Fargo Center rocking. That music hit, it was over.
Yeah.
It was over. He had them going dumb.
He's got star power.
Yes, he does.
Absolutely. And that's half the battle. And he can go in the ring to an extent.
Yes.
So he got everything that he needs. He can only go up from here. So I'm ready to see it.
Same. Jaeger, you got anything to say before we wrap up NXT?
Nah, I'm just trying to think about who Trick could end up going with or going up against.
But Finn.
Maybe get
No, because the thing is that they didn't already show.
Literally.
They didn't already shown that Trick wants the title, like the main title. So it's like, do you run Trick and Ilya 3?
That's what I'm like. You get that?
Actually, it'd be Trick and Ilya 4. Because Ilya fought Trick before Ilya became champion.
Yeah.
So technically, it'd be Trick and Ilya 4 if you really put it all in perspective. So it's like, do we run that or figure something else out?
Mm.
So that's the.
We'll see.
I'm saying, yeah, we're here for it. I mean, Sean's been cooking over there. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't like Sean's been, fucking up. Sean's been cooking.
Also, isn't the draft soon, or is that later?
Probably in May. Look,
Probably.
NXT.
Could bring up some NXT.
Y'all let
wait.
Y'all let Michael Sean Hickenbottom cook over there. All right.
Right.
Still a funny name.
Hickenbottom. It's over there cooking.
No.
Cooking. But yeah. So as far as NXT going into this new era, we'll see what's next for Roxanne. We'll see what's next for the Wolf Dogs. We'll see what's next for Ilya. We'll see what's next for Oba. We'll see what's going to happen with the NXT Women's North American Championship.
We'll see who's next on that.
Julia should be debuting soon. So NXT looks like they got some things cooking up. But once again, Tuesday, we'll know for sure how it all plays out.
Dollars make a way to make a change. Gotta be insane to make them same mistakes again. So I'm switching lane to lane. Pray the curb don't scrape.